Hello, hi. Welcome to the another video. Here, as a series of certain SBOM guidelines, today we are going to cover about SBOM data fields. So there are 21 minimal elements of SBOM data fields. I will be deep diving into that with simple analogy explanation with proper example also. By that, you will get certain clarity on what exactly the 21 data fields in the SBOM. These are like minimal mandatory data fields, we can say. Okay. Now, let us see what exactly the data fields was. Basically, the data fields contain a baseline information about each component that need to be tracked and maintained throughout the software supply chain. It is helpful for identification, transparency, and automation. In as a part of identification, it will enable adequate component identification, and it will helps to track throughout the software supply chain and helps to map the vulnerabilities as well as license data. And as a part of transparency, it will complete it will provide a complete inventory of software components and dependencies and metadata visibility, and it provides a better risk management also. And also it helps in automation, it provides a mission readable formats, and it provides a integration support with the security tools, and automated vulnerability scanning will be done. Okay, so these will be achieved with one by one. Okay, so let us deep dive into the data fields, uh, how exactly these can be defined and what exactly that particular data contains. Okay, so let's begin with first one, which is component name. So this is the name of the software component or a library included in the SBOM. So you can see here the Apache Tomcat is the example here. And the second data field was component version. It is a version number or a identifier of the software component. And here it will be looks like this. And the third component was component description. It is a brief description or a summary of the functionality of the component and what exactly the main purpose of the software component. Here you can see example, it is a open source Java web server. Okay, and the fourth data field was component supplier. It is the entity or a organization that supplied this particular software component, such as is it a vendor, is it a third party supplier, or else is it a open source project like that. Okay, here you can see the vendor Apache Software Foundation. Okay, and the fifth component was data field was component license. So it is the license under which the software component is distributed, including the details such as the license type, what is the terms of the license, and what is the restrictions. So you can see here, this was the license. Okay. And the sixth data field was component origin. So this is the source or the origin of the software component, such as whether is it a internal like proprietary, or else is it a open source, or else is it obtained from any other third party vendors. Okay, so here for example, it is a open source community Apache. And the next seventh data field was component dependencies. Let's say if any other software components or libraries that the current component is depends upon, it includes the names as well as associated versions. Here you can see a JRE, Java Runtime Environment. So whatever the example I'm demonstrating here, it is for Apache Tomcat. So you can correlate with the same component to throughout the 21 data fields. Okay, moving to the next data field, which is vulnerability details. So this is the information about the known security vulnerabilities or the weaknesses associated with the particular software component. That includes a severity ratings as well as reference to the security advisories or some CVE IDs, like unique identifiers of that particular vulnerability. Okay, and the ninth data field was patch status. So the patch status, or else we can say update status of the particular software component, it indicates whether any patches or updates are available to the software component. It will help to address the known vulnerabilities or issues. Okay, the status will be like up to date or any patches available and like that. And the 10th data field was release date. It specifies the date when the software component was released or make it available to use in the market. Okay, here you can see here exact date, month and year. Okay, and the 11th data field was end of the life. It specifies the date when support or maintenance of that particular software component is scheduled to end. It indicates the end of the software life. You can see here example the specific date. And the 12th data field was criticality. It specifies the criticality or the importance of the software component to the overall functionality or security of the application. Uh, and based upon the like software component and security severity, it was be categorized as critical, high, medium, low. Okay, here for example, it is high. Okay, and the 13th data field was usage restrictions. It specifies is there any usage restrictions or limitations associated with this particular software component, such as uh, export control restrictions or some intellectual property rights like that. And the 14th data field was checksum or hashes. So it defines the cryptographic checksums or hashes of this particular software component. Um, Component files, okay, to ensure the integrity and authenticity is maintained. And there will be a algorithm of the like checksum or hashes, and the value will be provided there. Okay, and moving to the next slide where we will be discussing the remaining data fields. Here the 15th data field was comments or notes. It is like a additional comments or notes or some annotations we can say, which is relevant to the software component or inclusion in the SBOM. Okay, and the 16th data field was the name author of the SBOM data. It specifies the name of the entity that creates that particular SBOM inventory data for these particular components, software components. And the 17th data field was timestamp. So a timestamp basically records the date and time of the SBOM data like assembly. Okay, when the SBOM entry was done. Okay, and next data field was executable property. So here 18th, 19th as well as 20. Okay, executable property, archive property, and structure property. These are like yes or no data fields, or else in brief also we can write. Executable property is basically it indicates whether a components within the SBOM can be executed. Is it having a .exe extension? Okay, and archive property. I mean, not only .exe, any other executable properties also. And archive property, it is like a whether the component can be stored in a compressed files like archive property is there or not, or like a tar file. Okay, so this is a characteristic which denotes if a component within a SBOM is stored in an archive or some compressed files like that. Okay, and the 20th one was structured property. It will basically describes the organized format of the data which is generated. And the final data field was unique identifier. So the unique identifier is a distinct code assigned to each software component, which is structured as a package URL, we can say. Okay, like who is the supplier, organization name, and component name, and at the rate associated version. This particular unique identifier will helps to track the ownership change and is there any version updates that will ensures the uh, like accurate content of the software component. And here you can see the real world example, like whatever the examples we have seen till now, all together is here. Okay, and the name, version, supplier, license, vulnerabilities, patch status, unique identifier, like that, all the components will be coming. Okay, like 21 components. So yeah, this is all about the data fields in the SBOM. And in the upcoming discussions, we will be discussing upon like how exactly the format looks like. Okay, and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you.